This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome. Yes, we want to learn, share the ideas and the research and strategies of Anat Shenker Osorio and to see how it applies to our work to win the elections in 2022 and expand our capacity towards 2024 as well. So that's our goal or purpose tonight. And I wanted to share with you, this is how I'm proposing that we proceed. That we, as an organizer and facilitator, I always like, people ask me sometimes when guests come, is this presentation, or do I have to give a speech? And no, we want it to be participative and collaborative. So tonight as well. And we are co-creating here. And you'll be asked to share voluntarily, of course. Here's the basic question for me. What is something specific? Sometimes I use the word gem. What's a gem? What's something specific that you found in Anat's ideas that may be crucially important to win all the electoral races for Democrats in Hamilton County and Dayton, Ohio in 2022? I added that Dayton in there because Yasmin is with us. So we want to do that there, but any place where we might think to go. So that's the goal, is what is something specific that you found that might be crucially important to win electoral races? And the work process I'm proposing goes like this. One by one, participants will share an idea that she or he is excited about, share an idea. The group will discuss that idea in light of overall strategy and potential effectiveness to achieve the goal to win all the electoral races for Democrats. Then the next participant will share. So you see how we'll just rotate with one another, learn from one another, and from what a person chooses from Anat's work. Number one, what's chosen, and then discuss it and see what the implications or the applications might be, and then go on to the next person. Any questions about our process for tonight? Hi, Elaine. Hi, Constance.
I can't find my glasses.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble getting on, and now I'm looking for my glasses. So
okay.
But I heard some, much of what you said.
Okay, good. So, who now is willing to be the first to dive in with an idea that is important or exciting or for you, valuable for you, that then share it briefly or to give us the background to it, and then we'll discuss it together as a group. Who's first? Okay, if no one does, I will,
I'd be glad to go first.
Thanks, Gary.
For those that don't know me, I'm here in Cincinnati and happen to be a ward chair in Ward 24, which is my operating ground here for this coming year. And I stumbled on this material. I didn't hear about it until Christmas time or so. And I am just overcome by what this means to the work we've got ahead.
Yeah.
And the first thing I would describe it as is a paradigm shift in the way that I see my work and the way that I see the interaction with the public and voters. And we've all had experiences with paradigm shifts in our life, and they grab us, don't they? And they challenge us, and they don't grab hold quickly. They don't grab hold easily, and it takes a while to transition to a new way of thinking. Paradigm I learned from Stephen Covey. He called it a map, the way we see the world, right? Well, I used to see the world as a, um, at least in my political work, was voters that I had to find to get their vote. And I even made a little picture that showed a golf course with a whole bunch of balls on the golf course. And my job was to get as many balls into that hole by election night, right? And that was the way I looked at it.
And to beat them in there with a stick was your theory to,
I can show you the picture that I have of that too. So the paradigm there, the old paradigm was I saw the public as a vote, and I want your vote. And one of the core things that I've gotten from Anat's material and a number of other people have also introduced this same stuff to teach us, but to see that for every vote, there's a voter. And when I relate to a voter, I'm looking for a person who will absorb the task at hand, will absorb the meaning of what we got in front of us. I don't just want your vote, I want your mind, I want your body, I want you early, I want you involved, I want you awake to what's going on. And my work then is to try to accomplish that. And that starts now. I mean, the election is 8 months away, but that can start now instead of during the get out the vote week. That's an example of how this is hitting me. It's a paradigm shift in the way I do it. And as a result, I'm swamped with trying to learn this stuff. And that's why I'm here tonight to kind of talk with some other people who are in that same boat.
Terrific. Thank you. Beautiful setting. I like how you set the larger context too, Gary. And I want to thank you. You pushed me again a few times. I'm slow to be pushed sometimes, but you did it beautifully. Where I dug in and then got real excited too. But you were a stimulus for that for me.
Can I claim, can I claim success that I made you a voter?
Yes, I'm going to vote this year. Discussion now. Things that you heard from Gary that might be similar. Is there any paradigm shift occurring for you, for example? His relationship to voter that he's learning from Anat about, you can be I like what you said about for the vote, but it is the voter, the whole voter. The voter is a real person who thinks and feels and all. So what comments, discussion do you have about this? Who's next about Gary's point? And then we'll go on to another Anat idea. Who's next about Gary's sharing? Julie.
Yeah, I'm 100% with Gary. The only difference is I didn't see, Richard, your second email until right before I came on.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with Anat's material, but I know that we need to do something very different.
Yeah.
The old way, as Gary said, of registering voters the month before the election and all of that, that's not going to be enough. And my passion really has always been to help create community. And for me, community means sharing experiences of listening to the difference we want to make and engaging people in recognizing that they have gifts to help with this, not just the only gift I want is your vote.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a couple of podcasts and news broadcasts with young people who are either gun control advocates, that came up around the anniversary of the Parkland shooting on Valentine's Day, or climate crisis stuff. And they were saying so strongly, you guys, you all in the Democratic Party, you pleaded with us to get out and vote, and we did, and we turned out more voters than have ever appeared in our age bracket before. And look, here we are a year in and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
So I'm passionate, but right now my passion has been going primarily into the braver angels.
Gonna lose power. I gotta get
trying to spread that news and get people engaged in knowing how to talk with others.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. Beautiful. Again, focusing still with Gary's sharing of the point that he's making of Anat as a paradigm shift, introducing us to that, and also to the new relationship with voter. Susan.
I was just going to say what Julie was talking about, really not knowing about Anat, but the whole idea of empathy and what in her message, using the 3 V's, that you connect with people by finding the same values.
Yeah.
And you focus in on that. I think the other thing that I took out of Anat that Gary didn't mention, but was the whole race class narrative, that liberals don't want to talk about race. They think that it offends white people, and so we keep silent, and that the Republicans have used.
No, I didn't get one call.
Somebody needs to mute.
Cindy, will you? Oh, she did.
Say it again, Nikki.
She did. She muted.
Okay. I think one of the things that I took away, because we've been talking about messaging, so the words matter, but also the delivery matters. How do we get it to the people? And I think that she's laid out on her website how to do the words, but I think we need to be a little creative about how we deliver.
Yeah, terrific. So. I am, as a facilitator, I would like, if we could, or if you're interested, to stay for a few moments on what Gary shared as what he put forward there, rather than jumping into others. So is this work, for those of you that dove into Anat, I'd be curious, is Anat changing the paradigm for you? Are you a different activist, thinker, political thinker because of Anat, or is it just like, oh, here's another one that's interesting? Because I heard Gary saying this is not a small change for him. This is a major change. Does anybody else?
It's not a big change for me. It's just a better tactical advantage.
Okay. Other opinions about that? So we have one like Gary, and then we have one like Susan. Constance. And you'll have to, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, got it. Okay, I of course, I haven't really been able to review a lot of the material. I only did like half of a podcast. But of course, you know, I think we're all in agreement that the Democrats need to change their messaging.
Yes.
And the part of the podcast I was listening to, it truly made sense but it seemed, you know, it just bothers my, you know, my like my compassionate democratic feathers, you know, like, you know, like, oh God, I don't want to manipulate people. I know that's not in me. I can't do that. But the repetition of message, I think, is extremely important. And we're all having to unify. We have, okay, you know, we have the youth saying, you're not listening to us, blah, blah, blah. And then like the union saying, we got to, you know, focus on jobs. And we just have all these coalitions, and we all have to unify with the same message.
Yes.
And just keep repeating. And that's kind of hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of talking, as Gary said, you know, changing, you know, like your paradigm shift, you know, it's like, yeah, I have to adjust to this. Yes. I'm not sure I can like really sit comfortably in this. And I have to like really kind of let it sift through me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going to agree with, you know, I'm like one of the rebels. And so like, oh God, I have to agree with you. No, I don't want to do that. But I have to do that.
Yeah.
Because we have to, we're losing.
Yeah.
And we got to make changes. And our messaging and reaching out to the public is the only way. I don't want to keep on going.
That's good. That's good. So let's have one more in relation to Gary's point. Again, you know, you heard it, you're sharing. Thank you, Gary, for being the first up about the paradigm shift. I mean, I feel it myself. I'm just going to jump in here. I am different as an organizer, as an activist, because of Anat. I'm thinking differently. I'm choosing words differently. I'm picturing the work with strategy differently. I share it a lot with people. You know, the senior advisor for the Tim Ryan campaign today, I had a long conversation with and gave him. He's not aware of Anat, but I took a couple of the gems and added those. Oh, that, you know, that's interesting. So I think it shifted me. Anybody else that did dive in some, that it has, and like Constance shared there too, there's a resistance to that because, oh my God, it's real work. I gotta double think myself and keep learning too. Anybody else have anything about paradigm shift? Nikki?
I'm with Susan in that it makes sense to me. And I've been listening to Jiggy and the other ones for the last, year that they've been on with
Yeah.
So I just liked, it just made sense. And I can't figure out with the Democrats losing so often that they aren't waking up sooner.
Yeah, that's a good question, right? Yes, that's needed. Yes. Okay, good. That was a good.
I think, yeah.
Yes, please do.
I just started getting into it yesterday,
yes.
But it really, it was kind of a paradigm shift for me. Yeah. I mean, there's so many very concrete things that I took away from it that I would change the way. I mean, I guess I've never I've thought about messaging, but I've never gotten very far in figuring out how to do it. But her idea, you know, starting with the shared value, never starting with the problem, start with the shared value and, you know, and then identifying the problem and, you know, and identifying the villain and the, you know, and then the solution. And also she talked about the, how did she put it? The idea of telling the voters what you want from them, really starting from there. Yes. And, you know, the message that you have the power and we're going to make it happen. Because I think that people do feel often very disaffected from politics and feel like they can't do anything. And that would counter that feeling.
Yeah.
Wow. So
I like how you just said, Bobby, that you have the power, a message to the voter that Gary was referring to. You have the power, voter, and we're going to do something about that. I mean, that is a powerful message about voter, which was the other part that Gary shared. That's a great example, Bobby, of that. Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you.
But I really, she has so many good different ways of approaching it. I mean, I probably 7 to 10 ways, that sort of concrete ways to, you know, to help you frame things.
Being very specific, you mentioned that at the beginning of your sharing here too, Bobby. I think that's part of the power of Anat, is that she has very specific language, clever language frequently, kind of memorable language, but very specific, rather than theory. It's a lot of very specific things to do. Well, let's shift to good start here, Gary. Thank you. Who has a gem? Something that a more specific, the better, in my view, of something that you found in Anat, whether you've just done it within the last day or half a day or not done it at all, you'll hear people share. But something specific, a gem from Anat that you think can really be valuable for the reasons we all know we have to do to change in order to be successful. So who's next to give a try with sharing a Anat gem or specific idea? Yes, Marjorie.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't get too far into it. I listened to about the first half hour of the podcast. And I will go further, but in that first half hour, of course, she said the message has to be unified.
Yeah.
And the message doesn't mean anything at all. You can have the best message in the world, but if people don't hear it or see it, so you got to figure out how to get to, and that really had me thinking unified. And I would think if we're pushing statewide candidates, we would need to be unified with what the statewide advertising is saying. And I just hope that is going on. So if we somehow come up with a very clever campaign message or slogan, if a different one is on all the ads they're seeing on television or on Facebook or wherever they get their material, that's not a unified message. Right. So I'm just wondering how this is going to be coordinated with everybody else. And I think if it's not, we don't have a unified message.
That's
and
right.
And also again, I just heard the first half hour and I think I missed some of these gems that Gary and Richard and others have seen. But where was I going? Oh, it'll come to me later, but yeah, the unified message.
I think that's a gem to how to get the message, unify it and deliver it. You know, her language, I think, Marjorie, I don't know where I saw it, is how to get the message that can cut through the noise and be delivered. And that's, you know, there's a challenge. And I know your professional career was in communications and media and all. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, but that's part of our work is to do that. So let's take a gem that Marjorie found and see what ideas or how does that touch you? Do you agree with that about a unified message, for example, in Hamilton County, or in, you can think of the different circles in the state of Ohio. Who's next? And then how to deliver that, cut through the noise. Who's next about making comments about Marjorie's point, not going on a new one. Let's just dig into this one for a bit. Who has something to share? The unified part, I think, is really important too, Marjorie, because of we Democrats are pretty independent. You know, we're in a lot of diversity and a lot of kind of freedom of our expression and all that. The idea of unifying is in some ways maybe antithetical to Democrat thinking or lifestyle. So how to unify is a problem. Now, Barack Obama, because he was so prominent and charismatic, boom, 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 you know, he was able to unify the message, yes, we can. Remember, that is the aspirational slogan and message about change. We can make a big difference with change and we create the future. But the one that stuck with me was, yes, we can. But that was unique, but maybe we can be so skillful to do that. And then how to deliver it is another point. But I think that's a challenge for us Democrats to unify. It's not easy. Who's next with a comment from what a gem that Marjorie brought up?
Richard, I was just going to say that I was struck by the examples that I learned out of her article, or that interview. Yes, we can is one I think of the most, of course, but there are others too. There was some messaging they did, for example, down in Georgia after the presidential election when they elected those two Democratic senators. That was huge. And Anat was involved with them in helping to message those 6 weeks of campaigning. It was something like, you can do it again.
Yeah.
And what was unifying about it is the people who were talking on the microphones were using that language. The people who were knocking on doors and talking with people at their front doors was using that same message. And the literature was carrying that same message. It helped to keep it consistent and clear. And there were other examples too that she had in there. And I don't know that we have articulated a message of that character yet for Ohio, or for that matter, even for Hamilton County.
Right.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting it.
Yeah, I think the message, is this correct? Something like, you did it before, in the November election, you can do it again. But that was sort of that word. And that became powerful. Yeah, that became it's a power. Yeah, you're right. You've got the power to do that. Yes. Other comments about the unified message that Marjorie shared and delivery of that message? Maybe repetition is part of it. Chuck.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said the Democrats' problem is they let the Republicans frame the issue.
Yeah.
With Obamacare, it was death panels and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, now I don't know if they're disciples of Anat, but freedom is the major thing we're hearing these days. And I gotta believe, I don't know if they're trying to unify or if that's just something that drags people in, but they're really good at this.
Yeah.
Democrats are not. And so to figure out how to unify, I mean, they've figured out how to do it. And the Democrats are very poor at it.
Yes.
Because I think they are so diverse and just sit there and say, oh, you ought to, you ought to want better for everybody. And it's like, well, how do you do that? And, please produce it, because, if you didn't have Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema in there, Biden would have more to show. And so it sounds good on paper, but it just doesn't always play out the way, we thought it would.
Yeah. Right. Thanks, Chuck. How about another one about Marjorie's point about unifying and the delivery and the cutting through to get the message? This is big. Nikki.
The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee.
Yeah.
The whole essence of that book, to me, gives you a lot of material on why we need to get and be working together rather than individually.
Yeah, say that once more, because I've heard that book a number of times, but I haven't read it.
The Sum of Us. It's available also in audio, so you can listen to it in the car or whatever. It's how, raising the water for the boats, they all rise.
Yeah.
I mean, I could not believe about the South and the things that I learned, that in order to keep Black people out of the pool, they had these beautiful parks down there that were, rather than share it with a Black person, they filled those pools in, cemented them over, planted grass on top of them. I mean, and there's so much economically that we could be a lot further along had they not shut down in the 50s, late 50s was when this, anyway. But The Sum of Us is a powerful book.
Thank you.
On how bad we've dealt with it.
Yes, that's great. I like it when one idea leads to another thinker or another idea. Yeah.
I'd like to respond to Nikki. Nikki, I just bought that book. It's at the top of my reading list.
It's
you
good.
Quite see it there.
Well, with your screen, it when you hold it up,
I'm going to say it's also a paradigm shift for me, Nikki.
Okay.
The concept, and I only read the first 2 chapters. It's changing the way I look at the potential we have. That the sum is greater than the individual parts. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah, that is good. Thank you, Marjorie. That was good. I think the challenge of it, of course, is right there on our lap or before us here. So how about you, Ruth? Do you have a gem from Anat that you'd like to share that you think can be important moving forward?
I was just gonna, I'll say my thing quickly. I think it is extremely difficult for people to get on the same page with the same message. If you grew up in any family, you did not want to look like anybody, talk like it. I mean, you needed, so I think people have to be mature enough to have their own individual selves okay from the inside. And then we come together. So enough of that. Or we have to be like children, pardon me for saying this, but like the Republicans who just, no matter what they say, we will follow. We have no brain. Yeah, okay, so that's my opinion about how hard it is though to be, to take it to every, and we have to be gentle with ourselves as we, and not say, oh, I've all these years and I never knew that. Great, you know it now. Congratulate yourself. I'm doing that to myself. I'm saying, good for you, Ruth. You're learning it now.
Yes.
Be gentle and then move forward though. You know, it's not like sit on my hands now for the next, go ahead.
Right.
So that's
and
enough.
For me, the Obama example is a real example. I mean, how many of us believe that he could win? And then his choosing strategically that aspirational, and then to come up with that, and it wasn't original. It was from Yes We Can, was from the little research I did, was actually from Cesar Chavez and the Farm Workers Union is when that started, you know, probably what, 20 years earlier or something like that. And I'm not sure if Marshall Gans, just, you know, the strategist that was working with Obama, because Marshall was working as the organizer for Chavez back 20 years before Obama's time, or more maybe. But I don't know what the connection was, but that became, and I think I get excited that if Obama could do it, I mean, a lot of brilliance on in his campaign, but we can do it, you know? And so that makes me, even all the odds against it, we can do it, maybe, hopefully. Oh yeah. Remember Eeyore in the Winnie the Pooh stories? Oh, why bother? Who knows? But then Obama pops up and maybe. Okay, who's next with a gem that means something to you from Anat that might be valuable in our work for electing Democrats in 2022? Who's next?
Well, I'll go again because I'm excited about this.
1 second, let me just see 1 second. I think Constance is ready. No? Okay, I saw it brewing, Constance. You're good at, you show good, you show a lot of your emotions and energy.
Well, of course I have a lot of thoughts, and I just really think we, you know, as Democrats, as the party as a whole, we have to unify, and we can't, you know, I just feel like we have such divisiveness among ourselves that we, you know, it's like, you know, we work at, you know, I keep on thinking, oh, I'm going to canvas, you know, we're all human, we all bleed the same, you know, like, you know, we're just humans, you know, please listen to me, I listen to you, and we have this great I don't know, a love fest with each other in the neighborhood. But as Democrats, just in our own party, the Republicans have, I mean, they just like enjoy how we just continually fight each other. And I keep on like, you know, in other groups, I keep on hearing people, well, you know, when are the Democrats going to give a message, get a good message? Well, you know, like, dude, tell me what message you think is good.
Get the work.
Yeah, you know, you're always complaining about it, but I'm not hearing it.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's right in a way. We're not, as a group, all of us, everyone here, we have to agree.
Yeah.
And I know there's, you know, we have, you know, there's some, you know, stigma. Like, I mean, I'm with the Women's Caucus, and I know that there's some stigma, and we have to, like, you know, like, come on, you know, we're losing our rights as women, and we've given up a lot too in campaigns. So, you know, we have this animosity.
Yeah.
But we have to win.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
We have to win. And so let's do it.
In doing the strategy work, I like finding graphics or images that mean something. So you'll see on the screen here, I didn't create this, but I found it. But I think it's brilliant, is the idea of all the differences to be able to unify and come together to move ahead. And there is a way of not giving up our uniqueness, I believe, but we converge it. But it takes a lot of work and it takes time. And, but that was an image that I thought, but we've got to do it. I like your passion, Constance, that we've just got to do it if we want to really create power. That's where power comes from.
But and let's think about Hamilton County. Hamilton County's done a great job. Mm-hmm. I mean, Hamilton County is basically considered blue now. Oh, so yeah. What did you do? How did you do it?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. Not quite on our topic, but it is important. And just briefly, in my view, it was once they moved towards coordinated campaigns and got everybody moving. I see Christine, who's right at the heart of the. Say something about that, Constance or Christine.
No,
I know you're.
That's the first thing that I thought of.
Me too.
You know, one of my beefs that I always had is how many times could you go out and canvass?
Yeah.
So you have a candidate here who you want to support, and then we do the same neighborhoods.
Yeah.
When it's coordinated, you go out there as a group and you knock it out.
Yeah.
You go to the next neighborhood, and then you go to the next neighborhood.
Right.
And I agree with a lot of things people said in this meeting. It's hard to message, you know, one message across the board. I do think it's hard. But one of the things is we're chipping away, and the coordinated campaign proved, look how many judges won 4 years.
Yes.
15, we won 12.
Yes.
That away. The other thing too is that we do suck at messaging at the same, we suck at it.
Yeah.
And I know you could have David Pepper if you read his book. I think we need long-term planning.
Yes.
You know, the Republicans get together and what are we going to do? And we need to get our people elected. What happens in the state, I think, Julie, you said we elect these people, we don't go anywhere. Well, how do you know, you were on that phone call yesterday with the fair districts.
Unbelievable.
Go anywhere when we don't have the majority.
Right.
So it's a hard thing, and we do have to strategically work this out.
Yeah.
And put in place.
Yeah.
Can't lose faith that we're not trying, and every position is filled for running for state rep.
Yeah.
Every one of them. We just needed districts.
Right.
Not the convoluted, let's now take Green Township and other areas out of District 1 for congressional.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy, but we can do it. Gary, would you share another gem from Anat that might support or give us new breakthrough for electing Democratic candidates in Hamilton County and Montgomery County in Yasmin's honor?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the second big thing that sticks with me and struck me about what I'm learning here is this notion of how do we address our messaging and target the voters that we are trying to persuade and get to vote. So there's obviously the opposition. Those would be folks who vote Republican. And there's obviously the Democrats who are going to vote Democratic. And then there's lots of people they tell us are in the middle. Maybe they came over from one side or the other, or they're just undecided, or maybe they just don't vote. So what I learned from this is this notion that our mission with messaging is to focus on this one over here, the Democrats. Those who believe in this work, she coins the term the base. Those are our base. Those that we can talk to, those who care the most. Hopefully they're active, but maybe they are yet to be active, but are willing to get in the game because they're believers.
Yeah.
Or because we made them, we persuaded them to be believers. Now they want to get in the game and work. She calls that the base that we work with. But the principle that I'm learning from her that I'm struck by has to do with that middle, because we know that the middle is what's going to determine the outcome of the election, right? Who is wanting to attract the middle. So the strategy, and she's done this with a lot of field work, that's her profession. ASO Communication is the name of her consulting firm, is we target our messaging to the base so that they can influence the middle. And she defines the middle as what I just said, those who could go either way, or maybe they're Democrats who would otherwise stay home, right?
Yeah.
She defines the middle. So the approach is that we who are activists then work on activating and animating our base with messaging and our candidates, and why it's important to get out and vote, why it's important to get involved in the campaign, not just to vote at the end, why it's important to get involved in the campaign and be talking and learning how to do things like messaging so that they can influence the middle. And that's where she gets into this whole other thing about how to construct a message, because she says a message that is not delivered from your base to the middle is by definition not persuadable, right? She also says a message is kind of like a baton, that if you drop the baton, the message didn't get delivered, and again, by definition, didn't persuade. The base can't carry or forward. So a message that goes to the base, if you don't give it to them in a way that's either memorable, short and sweet, or flexible enough that they can pass it along to their kids or talk to them about their neighbor because it's short and sweet, it's not going to be remembered, and they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to pass it on to the middle.
Yeah.
So what I learned there is it's that middle that's persuadable. And in the past, I was focusing on the middle, try to find those people on the middle and talk with them. And I never liked doing that. The campaign would send us out with walk sheets, and you got a check mark. Are you support Hillary, or are you supporting the other guy? And you check those boxes and you turn it in. That was our persuadable practice. And they wanted us to do it in the summer. They wanted to give us to go find volunteers to do with it. Did we find volunteers? It was like pulling teeth, right? You had to go out and do it yourself. So the notion of persuadable, again, is a paradigm shift. We want to focus on our base and animate the base and teach the base how to accept, process a message, and share it with the middle. Like sharing with your kids or talking on the street with your friends or coworkers. We just learn how to do a message. So my point there has to do with this concept of a base in the middle, and we target our work with the base and let them influence the middle.
Yes.
It simplifies my job tremendously,
right,
and focuses and gives me a whole lot more energy. I'm ready to get started now rather than wait till September like we did years before, right, Julie?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Terrific. Okay, there's a real powerful Anat gem, I think. How about, what thoughts do you have about this? That energize the base to persuade the middle.
By the way, I've only learned about this whole concept myself in the last 2 months.
Yeah, me
studying
too.
This Anat material.
Right, yeah. In speaking with Mike Morley, the senior advisor to the Tim Ryan campaign, I brought this up to him. I said, you know, he's been going out to every county and all these different places. And I said, well, I'm a base person here. I'm an organizer here. But you're going out, his going out to there. What, you know, what does it mean to me? It means that you're not really paying attention to me. You're not exciting. It's exciting the base. You're not exciting me. If the candidate or the party go towards the middle early, or that's their main message, what do? They just siphon all the energy out of the base. And I said, Mike, that's what you're doing here. You're siphoning the energy. His campaign is doing that. And he said, he understood. He said there's counter thoughts about that in the campaign staff because they think they got to go to the middle and all that first, and then maybe come back to the base later. Well, maybe, I don't know enough to know, but that is the key point. So what does that shift, Anat's strategy there to excite the base, who will then influence, persuade the middle? Does that make sense to you, or doesn't it? Who's next? Who thinks opposite? Who thinks the same? Come on. This is a shift.
Well, this is the first, whatever I read of hers, I didn't read that, but and yes. I actually would like to know where it is so I could read more. I mean, it sounds right. I mean, I think that's what has happened for the Republican Party. you know, the base is very
That's
activated.
Good point.
They're influencing others. But so Gary, where did you literally see that?
Well, I'm going to say it would take you a half hour or 45 minutes to read that transcript. That's where I've learned all of this. It's right in there.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't in the one I read. So which?
That's true. I didn't send that to Bobby, probably.
If you go to the website that she has, that Richard sent to us, it's the fourth thing down, and it says engage the base, persuade the middle, and
okay,
the fourth, you'll see it.
I'll try to get that to you, Bobby.
If you listen to the audio recording, you got it all there, or you can read a transcript of the audio recording.
Yeah, she might not have that link.
I've been reading it over more thoroughly now, but that's the only source that I've got to work with so far.
She might not have that link yet. Bobby might not have that link yet.
Well, you sent it out today.
I know, but I'm not sure Bobby was on my list.
Yeah, no, I didn't get through, you know, I listened to one podcast, but I wanted to know where that specifically.
We'll get that to you. Okay. Thank you, Bobby. Okay, other ideas. What do you think? Is this a paradigm shift? Do you agree with this? It's tricky. If you talk to the base, you're not talking to the middle. The middle might get turned off for a little bit while you excite the base. But then after the base is excited, then they reach out to family, friends, neighbors, precincts, and all that and get excited. Susan.
I just want to, in defense of Democrats, the Republicans have been using since Barry Goldwater the race baiting. I can't remember. I mean, George Wallace, the segregation now, segregation forever, Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan going to the South and the Southern strategy. And they have used that very effectively. And even Bill Clinton used that in order to get elected with the mass incarceration of Blacks in the 90s. So that works very well. And that's one reason that Anat is one of the co-founders of the race class narrative, is because we must address that and not let them use that to divide us. And they've done that very effectively.
Are you giving that as an example, Susan, that the Republicans excited their base with the dog whistles and all the race stuff, and then the Republican base then influenced the middle?
They scared the shit out of the middle people that we're talking about that make a difference in the election.
Right.
So, and they're doing it now with the defund the police, the critical race theory. So that's her whole premise here, is we have to have a message that counters that. And she's got them on her website. So I think what we have to start doing is putting those in letters to the editor, putting them on Facebook and other social media stuff, because we cannot allow them to divide us, which is what they've done. That's been their strategy, and it's been effective. It's not, well, it's done through the message, but it's done by fear.
Are you talking about we doing this, meaning Democratic parties, candidates, with the base of the Democratic Party first, and then have them deliver the message, or are you delivering this message to the middle?
Well, I think we have to convince ourselves that that is how they're acting. And then we post on our personal Facebook and Twitter and stuff. But I've been to like 4 webinars of Anat's in the last month.
Yay.
And I highly encourage you to read everything that she's written. She's very effective. But there's work that we have to do. But I put in the chat, all in for Ohio. She worked with them. I don't know if it was 2018 or 2020, but they have a message. It's all in for Ohio. And that's what won in Wisconsin. And then I will send, I think I sent that to you today, Richard, the webinar I went to with that Minnesota person that I was very impressed with. And I can send that to the people that I have the emails that are on this group. But we have to do more. And one of the things that they did was very effective is they got somebody that was on TikTok who had massive followers, and to do an advertisement, you know, however long the TikTok things are for the young people, because they're saying that's where the action is in 22 is the under 40 group. And so I don't know too many of those. Even my kids are over 40 now. So it's like, we have to find a new generation of people in this crowd. So, but anyway,
I put the link to the podcast in the chat.
Okay, thanks, Nikki. So anybody, if you know how to save chats or copy it and paste it into somewhere you can get that, I'd be glad to send it out here too. Elaine, you're next. Oh, let's stay focused, if you don't mind, to another comment or two about this Anat gem of excite the base to persuade the middle.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Thank you, Elaine.
Okay. I have taken Anat's workshops before, and I love the idea of having a vision, talking about values, and then identifying the problem or the enemy, and then talking about shared vision. But as far as exciting the base and having the base, you know, go out and get to the middle. I was watching the recent videos just today with Tim Ryan, since you mentioned Tim, going to, it was far western, where was it? I don't know this town, and Pebbles County, and which is, you know, far western Ohio, southwest. And what I've been reading, and what I really am convinced now, and it's not where I naturally come from, but in The Political Brain by Drew Weston, is that we are emotional animals, and most people, like 70%, base their political decisions on emotions first.
Yes.
And Republicans are really good about highlighting emotions, just like Susan said, fear. And talking about the fear and igniting the fear, okay? And they're very good at that. Or any type of emotion, love of kids, protecting your kids, banning books, I want to protect my kids, and all that. They are very good at highlight, and we diss that as Democrats, okay? And we like to talk about data, and we like to talk about facts, and we don't understand why people vote against their own best self-interest. Well, the reason is because we don't go in with the emotion first. And I'm very bad at that. Most Democrats are. I think that Tim Ryan is very good at that.
Oh, cool.
Just like, he's very good at hitting the emotions first, just like Bill Clinton was, just like Barack Obama. You know, they and focus on the emotion first. And there's and this strategist said all kinds of data that is what makes a successful candidate. So I think so as far as, do you excite the base? Do you excite the base first and then have the base, you know, talk to the middle? I'm not sure about that, because I think that from what I was seeing in the video today, and Tim Ryan was very good about that, talking about shared values, but from an emotional standpoint, he was very good in this, I think they said 70% conservative Republican county, exciting people with shared values. So I'm not really good as you should go and excite the base and then go into the middle. I think you have to talk to everybody, and you have to really talk about the emotions.
Right, good point. There's certainly differing opinions about that, you know.
But as far as how you frame an issue, I love it. And I've been practicing it.
That's right. I mean, the point that really changed me about exciting the base, Elaine, and I'm bringing it up just about my own shift, is that you excite the base, you excite a lot of workers. You excite a lot of motivation, of passion from them. If you go to the middle, you can you know, you can all of a sudden get people, oh, yeah, but I'm not positive that a message to the middle frequently draws the excitement of workers. People that vote Democratic election after election after election, get them excited, and then they'll get out and vote. And that was Obama's, and then have a structure like the neighborhood team model that not only are they excited, but now they have something to really jump into with the neighborhood teams. But I hear you, there's a danger of that. You might turn off the middle if you speak too strongly towards the base because they think it's too far leftist or too far, too strong or too whatever. So there's a debate about that, Elaine.
Mm-hmm. Richard, one element that struck me with that has to do with the efficiency and effectiveness that it kind of brings back memories standing at a door talking with someone who's trying to persuade them, or I happen to catch a Republican. I'd walk back to the sidewalk and say, gosh, I need to avoid that the next door that's going to be a Republican. It's a waste of my time. I'm not going to move them towards anything. But a friend of theirs might have more influence over them than me. So by focusing on the base and then having the base more efficiently and more effectively influence their friends and families and neighbors and coworkers in a more effective personal way. Makes a lot of sense to me.
I know. I'm excited about the people that have voted Democratic every election for the last 20 years or 10 years, 5 years.
All right, Richard, I'm ready to go to another gem if you're ready for it.
Well, okay, I want to give other people a chance. First, who has a not gem? Gary's got a list, I do too, a whole list of not gems that you think it might be valuable for winning all the elections in Hamilton County and Montgomery County in 2022. Who's got a gem? Yes, Ruth. And you'll have to unmute.
Number 3 on the website that I'm looking at, it says, what you fight, you feed. So what you fight, you feed. Now, this is an old thing. We all have heard it. So, but again, when we're going to get a slogan, we don't want to start out with no more war. No, we're going to start out with for peace. And by the way, I have to say, Gary, thank you for the blue and yellow behind you. But that's very easy to think about, and sometimes it's hard for me to do. Not to never mention the danger. We can't pretend there's no danger, but don't necessarily lead with the danger, or immediately, if we do lead with it, know it and go right away to what we, how we can change that.
Yeah.
So it's true. If there are rats running around in their house, you got to talk about that and go right away, though, to what we can do about the rats.
Yeah, that's powerful. It is so simple, Ruth. You're right. Or we've heard it before. You know what? You resist, persist. There's little slogans like that. But it reminds me too of Julie bringing up before about watching the redistricting process. I get so angry, I want to just fight them and all. I realize in my own mind, I go to want to fight or to hate or to a lot of negative emotion. And I'm not sure that's the first place I should go. Maybe for a moment or 2 moments and beat up a pillow, but then move on from there. How about other thoughts about that? Is that a guideline we can use from Anat is emphasizing that if it's on her website?
Along with that, Richard, she talks about, what you do well and what you've accomplished. Instead of saying like, the Democrats have lost this many working class people, is to put Democrats have 45% are working class.
Yeah.
To put it, it's like, instead of saying, oh, we've lost the Hispanic, 10%, say, 88% of Hispanics vote Democratic.
Yeah.
That it's always put in a positive statement. And I think
that is powerful.
Reacting to the narrative.
Right. And we can grow from there. You've done it this far. We got 85% of X, or we can grow from there. Yeah, that is such a difference. rather than the complaint or the fighting of some data reality. Who else has something with what Ruth has brought up here about what you fight, you feed? And feed is a big word in that, I think. You know, I mean, we're really giving it food. You're strengthening it. Who has anything to share about that? Else about that? Great, thank you. Gary, what's another gem? We want to take advantage of your persistent work on this with Anat.
Well, first of all, I'd like to just comment on this background here. So I consider you my influentials, right? Have I influenced you to consider doing the same thing?
Yeah, I know. No, how you got that big flag hanging on the wall? Where did you buy it?
That's a nice background.
You can do it. My computer's too old. It won't do that, Gary. Sorry. So you have to look at my Fem Cave.
I know.
Okay, so another gem, a big gem that I learned from Anat is this thing she calls a truth sandwich. A truth sandwich.
Yeah.
And it's the way that you speak about a message you're trying to deliver. And she says you do it you construct your message in 3 parts. Now, I'm a newbie at this, and I'm not even going to be able to make one up here for you because I got a lot to learn about doing this. But I want to be very fluent in being able to say these things. I got a lot of practicing to do. The 3 parts are, part 1 is value. And she described it in one biograph I saw. It was like a hamburger, you know, you got the hamburger and the lettuce and the cheese, you know. The first part is you lead with a value. It's 3 V's, value, and then villain, and then vision. And just the study I've had with this is kind of changing the way, for example, on this first one, to name a value that we can assume that we both share in, right? And it's challenging me to get my head around shared values that we can count on, the people that we talk with or meet on the street, a shared value. And you lead with that value. We all
give an example of this.
I'm gonna try to make one up here.
Okay.
We all like having a clean neighborhood, a quiet neighborhood, and a safe neighborhood.
Yes.
But you know, when we have a few neighbors who don't care about cleaning the litter up in the front yard, it makes our whole neighborhood look bad.
Yeah.
We need to work together to try to organize our neighborhood and keep it clean.
Right.
So those are the 3 parts to it.
Yeah.
But I've seen and heard so many examples that are shorter, more punch to them, and effective. Every time I hear them, I feel that value right away. I can recognize it when somebody's using that truth sandwich because there's 3 parts to it. And it's only come because I've listened to her audio and I've read her transcript several times, mark it up, and I'm starting to practice it a little bit. So my concluding point on this isn't easy and it's not natural, but it's going to have to become us this year if we're going to break through the negativity that's out there and the dominance of the negative messages that are existent.
Yeah.
And this technique, I think, if we all commit to learning it, is going to make a difference. And I'm committed to doing that as I hit the ground here. I'll share this. I'm already seeing in the flyers that I make up, and Julie's familiar with our flyers that we hand out when we go door to door. I'm envisioning how I can articulate for each candidate how a truth sandwich statement about them.
Yeah, I'd like to see.
It's changing my paradigm in the work I got to do here to help people receive a message with a punch. And that truth sandwich has a punch to it.
I'd like to see a sheet or a list of 20, 40, 50 truth sandwiches, 1 sentence each. One sentence of you could take redistricting is one. You know, 1 sentence of value of redistricting. Second sentence could be the villain. what would be one sentence for that, and the third would be the one sentence for the vision. And we could do it for a whole bunch of different issues that are being faced.
Richard, that's already been done. When you go to Anat's website, she's got a messaging guide, and she's got a whole bunch of them on all different topics already laid out. And she's got, when they say this, you say that.
That's not the same.
Here's why.
I'm talking about the truth sandwich. I want to see.
That's what I'm talking about. She tells you, she gives you a sample sandwich there, and she explains why.
Okay, we'll put that in the website. Where do we find it in the website? Just give us a clue where to find it in the website.
I'll look it up.
What section? Yeah, okay.
It's under learning. It's under learning.
Under learning tab. Okay. Under the learning tab in Anat's website, ASO communications, you can look that up, or it's in the email I sent to you. Who has comments about this truth sandwich of value, villain, vision? Constance.
That's something that's been promoted by the group Opal. It's an indivisible type group in Northern Ohio.
Yeah.
And they were been, doing webinars on messaging.
Yeah.
And I think there have been other members of B&D that have attended that.
Yes,
Susan, and it's a really great way of like focusing your attention, and like you can use it for letters to the editor, etc. So like, okay, this is what I have. These are the 3 V's, and I have to put those all in my message, whether it's on writing or knocking on the door.
In the order of these 3, it seems to me, are simple, and it is 3 V's, which is nice to remember. But the order is really important. If you start with the villain, then people might resist. If you start with the vision, it's like, what are you talking about? If you start with the value, this is something we care about. We might all care about.
Shows our unity.
Yeah, that's right. You start with that and then say, well, we're facing something, or some people, Jim Jordan is an insurrectionist, and he did this for them, boom, boom. And that's terrible. And the vision is that the insurrectionist, according to the Constitution, section Amendment 14, Section 3, is that insurrectionists cannot run for office. That's the vision. That's our founding fathers' vision of what happens to insurrectionists. So here I've got a 3 V's of based on Jim Jordan. Boom, boom, boom. What other comments about that? The brilliance and simplicity, but hard to apply and hard to remember maybe, but the simplicity. That other comments about the truth sandwich? Ooh, we got it going. Yasmin, thank you for coming tonight. I just want to put you on the spot for a moment. Are you a political activist, and is any of this, if so or not, or are you beginning or just dabbling? And again, you can share anything you wish, or as little or no of what you wish, but also is any of this valuable for you or interesting for you?
Yeah, well, for me, I feel that, I've grown up in Ohio, and I just feel like starting 2016, it just became a lot scarier. So I just love seeing when people are getting together and are strategizing. I mean, one reason why I think Tim Ryan's doing a good job, because he's making that relationship first. So you're not going to be condescending. You're not going to be throwing facts. So he's going making the rounds, go everywhere. And I'm excited to see that all of you are also willing to do that, because people are just not willing to listen to any, it's just, I mean, it annoys me that it's like Tucker Carlson, right? Like Tucker Carlson is basically just saying anything.
Oh yeah.
And then you can't even like even with the gun bill, right? Like that's enough of a thing, that and redistricting. If you look at the numbers, who wanted that amendment, right? You've got like over 70% of Ohio wanted fair maps. So we have the numbers there. And so with a gun thing, it's like, really, you're making no training.
Yeah, right.
Permitless. I mean, that's not safe for anyone.
Yes.
So like, if you can just phrase it in a way, but it's gotten so bad now that there are, if you're considered a liberal, or you've just, like in your community, I feel that you have a harder time having anyone listen to you. It's really like, that's why when you're talking about the middle, and I listen to her and she's brilliant, but I just wish I could not get a hot head about it. So I try to join, you know, I just like listening because I feel that that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just going to take people talking to people and just, you know, so I've really liked her approach.
Yeah, good.
Really like that.
Oh,
that's kind of where I'm at. I just feel like the material is there and the numbers are there.
Yeah.
So I'm positive that way.
Ah, way to go. Thank you. You speak well. You're a good communicator about these things and the caring. I can hear the caring or the urgency in your voice too. I would like to share briefly oh no, sorry, that was not the one I wanted to share. I wanted to share this one here. So this is my own way. It might be helpful, maybe not, but I take the ideas of a knot, and I did it here. You know, this ties back to Marjorie's point right at the beginning. Be able to break a signal through the noise. That's kind of what I'm now describing this image about. But then I take any, you know, I kind of copy and paste or, you know, change the words a little bit from a knot. And then I look at these and then I can scan them easily. So you can see my first one, strongly stand up for people's basic human rights, which I guess is values, going back to the sandwich for a moment. And they will turn out to vote for us. If we really stand up for their rights, people have a different range of what rights they might think of. You can ask, what right do you want or need? Or it's really, you know, might be affordable housing. It might be the right to safe neighborhood. Whatever it is, strongly stand up for people's basic human rights. They will turn out to vote for us. So that's an Anat idea. The second one, just to give an example, is don't sell the recipe, sell the brownie. And I love her skill at coming up with clever ways to say it. Now, I followed up and kind of, again, some of this is copy and paste. Drive home the benefit of the outcomes rather than the policy purpose. So many candidates, they talk about policies, including local and national, rather than the policy purpose, talk about the benefit. What is the difference this will make in people's lives? I've got to think about this in new ways. This is a paradigm shift like Gary introduced earlier. For example, a healthy home bill that provides affordable housing and energy efficiency. You're going to get affordable housing, and that's the benefit to you. You're going to get affordable housing and energy efficiency. Instead of selling the names of policies, I was so glad that Biden left off the names of his policies in his speech the other night. Sell the benefit of its outcomes. So I have a whole list. The red ones are my hot Anats, and then the blue ones are kind of my middle Anats, and the darker, bolder are there, and then I have the regular. And this was another one I just worked on today. Empathy, not sympathy. We see ourselves in each other. I can really get lots of sympathy about the people in Ukraine, but how much empathy do I have? Can I put myself there, see myself, and really practice that in Ukraine? Focus on the whole of a person, help people relate to the people in their neighborhood and feel the connection. So that is an example that if you wish to practice it with Anat, is to make your Anat gem list and then go back to learn it, read it over, and then also apply it to different actions that you use. Susan.
Two things. Your number 25, I think you talked about identifying. One of the things that I remember her saying is all the people showing up, protesting. Is it 25? the people that they're seeing at the school boards are all these white people protesting about all the divisive quote stuff, CRT that we're teaching.
Yeah.
And she's saying, here's a busy mom. She's trying to get dinner ready for the 3 kids and, you know, getting it on. And she's got the evening news and she sees all these white people. And she said, oh, well, they look like me. So I probably need to accept that. And so she's saying that we need to show up there ourselves, white people saying, you know, this is whatever we're going to say about public education.
Right.
So I think that would be a strategy about identity. The other thing is Julie said earlier about people saying, you know, the Democrats have been in power for a year. Is that what you said, Julie, at the beginning? Right. One of the things that she said is also to say the work's not done yet.
Yeah.
We need 60 in the Senate.
Right.
We need more because obviously I can never remember the guy's name in West Virginia.
Munchkin.
I mean, he's a Republican.
Oh, the Republican in West Virginia.
Saying he's a Democrat. So it's like, our work's not done, and you did such a great job in 2020. We're almost there. We need you again this year.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, because she or somebody was talking about overcoming cynicism and that, well, look what the Democrats, we can't even get it done now. But I think that's the energy we have to take is, look, we're almost over the finish line.
Yeah.
We really need to ramp it up in 22 and don't listen to the polls that say everybody loves Biden's policies and what he wants to get done, and we need you. So
well, I think were the one that shared 60 for 22. See, that's a little 60 slogan.
For 22 is what we need.
That's great.
That's a slogan that gets me energized because I think of course, I think of Tim Ryan, that's 60 senators and 22. And so I think of Tim Ryan, but then I think of these other senators. I want to learn more about them.
He can be 51.
That's right. Yeah, right. So that's using a slogan. We have about 5 or 6 minutes left. Yes.
Tell them what you learned about a protagonist.
Oh, yes. In fact, I'm going to go to my notes about that. That has made a big difference and it's changed my language. I think I can find this quickly.
It's like 6 or 7.
7. Yeah.
Oh yeah, make the voter the protagonist. You have the power and you're going to make this happen. And I think you shared it with me first, Gary, is we can tell a voter, vote for Tim Ryan. That's good. Another message to the voter can be a voter that makes a positive difference in the Senate race in 2022. Oh, really? Be a voter rather than vote for. Then you're telling me what to do. Be a voter is much more. So I think we need to this is hard work, is to be clear.
Change our worldview, change the outlook, change the paradigm.
The candidate is not the protagonist. Most candidates think they're the protagonist, what the story's about. Most parties think they're the protagonist. That's the party that it's about. The protagonist is the voter. And I'm starting to change. I used to say, join us for Bold New Democracy, boom, boom, boom. Now I'm changing my words to be an activist working with us on Bold New Democracy. See that little change of words? I'm not sure, what the effect is, but it seems to me it can be a shift to, rather than join us, is be an activist with us. It seems more connecting.
Makes a difference on the receiving end of that message.
Yeah, what do you think the difference is, Gary?
Well, you're telling me that you care about me, not just my vote.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right.
And you see power in me and you're respecting me, not just you want to drive me to the polls and have me go in and register my vote.
Yeah, right. Right. Ruth, you had something to share.
I love what you said. Be a voter, make a difference.
Yeah.
Be an activist, make a difference.
Yeah, hey. It could be our slogan. I like that.
Yeah.
I thought you said it, Carrie.
Right. Well, even the next question, if we said that to somebody, be a voter, make a positive difference in pause, they might say, well, what difference do you think I can make? Maybe. I'm
and you could say back, what are you interested in?
Yeah.
What areas, what keeps you up at night or whatever, so we can put the question right back, because most people have a reason why they're standing on the porch talking.
Right. Yeah, coming up with slogans is so important. Mike Morley, the guy from Tim Ryan, the advisor for Tim Ryan, told me today, he said, well, have you heard what Josh Mandel's slogan is? And I said, no, because I was encouraging. I said, what is Tim Ryan's slogan? And he didn't have one. He said, well, our theme is working people and all. What is Josh Mandel's slogan? Does anybody know it?
Pro-God, pro-gun, pro-Trump.
That's a slogan?
That's exactly it. Pro-God, pro-gun, pro-Trump.
Seriously?
That's his slogan. And we both agreed that is extremely effective slogan.
Oh my God.
For what he's going after.
Oh my God. You know? Oh my God.
Pro-God, pro-gun, pro-Trump.
Yeah.
It's 6 words.
That's why. I'm so glad that God is like right there with Trump.
What?
Yeah, right. Yes.
That's great.
So that should be our homework for next time around, Richard, that we all craft a truth sandwich in response, or a message like that we would say to somebody who's got a sign like that in their front yard and we meet them on the sidewalk. What kind of a truth sandwich would we compose that would speak to that person?
Yeah,
just send them love and walk by. Don't waste your time.
Waste your time, yeah.
Do not waste your time. They are.
But
no, but I think it would teach us about what a truth sandwich would have to look like to do that exercise.
It does.
It would be a good exercise.
But I think it's important.
This is a last gem from Anat.
Oh, good.
She talked about identity, and religion is the biggest factor in people's identity.
Wow.
Really?
So if you're an evangelical, it says a lot more about what you believe than anything. And I think for, something to think about for you all who have a religious identity.
Right. Is spiritual, I just talked to a fairly
spiritual was not in there. She talked about
a fairly high level political organizer, and she said real clearly, I don't have a religion, but I feel very spiritual. But that isn't, that's not counted as a religion by the religious folks?
No.
No, think of Trump going out to that event in the park.
Oh, yeah.
With his Bible upside down. I mean, my God.
And the people had to be pushed out of the way so he could get to the church for his photo op.
Right.
All right. But if you don't mind, what you fight, you feed. So let's not think about Trump that much. Let's think about what we're going to come up with a slogan that can, for Tim Ryan or anybody, that can, all the Democrats that can beat be God, or no, pro-God, pro-gun, pro-Trump, or whatever you're thinking there. So we can do that. Thank you for.
I want to say this wonderful quote: "Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask, what can I do for my country?" Yes. I mean, it goes all the way back. Some of you don't remember, but that was JFK.
Yeah. And where did he get that?
He must have communed with the spiritual, quantum physics.
Did he make it up? Or did he?
I don't know where he got it.
I don't know. That would be good research. I think most of you know or have heard me say that.
Here comes the answer. Sandra has it. You're muted, Sandra.
The Make America Great Again was Reagan, and then it was
down in
Bill
the
Clinton. It was Reagan, then it was Bill Clinton, and then it was Trump. He did not make that up. He used Reagan, Clinton, Trump.
It's good to know a good quote to take. We don't need to reinvent a good wheel. Go ahead, Sam.
That's right.
Sandra.
Yes, Sandy, closing thought.
I am sorry I'm late. I was watching the news, and when I saw them going to Budapest, I just really couldn't think of anything else because I visited Budapest and the refugees are pouring in there. So I think that we have to think carefully about what's happening overseas, because this is going to have quite a remarkable effect, I really feel. And I'm hoping that MSNBC will quit showing Trump so many times, because he's very effective. And he goes in and does that sandwich again and again, and they show him. And that's what they really need to stop doing. And we need to focus on what's really important here.
Right, right. One of my heroes, Julie Murray, gave up on the MSNBC and CNN
really discouraging
drug line. I'm a dipper still. I'm not cold turkey.
I like them too, but I'm just saying
you, Julie.
It's a good example of how Trump works. He's very effective. And even if they show these little blurps and say the negative about them, that is the problem. The emotional has hit the people who are watching.
Yeah.
And so the people who come after and analyze are not being heard, I'm afraid.
Right. Thank you for coming, Yasmin. Again, I'm going to be bold. I think you're really important and valuable. And
I agree.
If you registered for this, I'm going to send you invitations to Bold New Democracy and to a strategy team that meets on Mondays. These are two groups. You can unsubscribe if you wish, or you can come. What's so great about Zoom is even if you live in Dayton, you don't have to get in the car and drive. You pop on and pop in, but we'd love to have your ideas and your interest and involved. So I'll send that.
And thanks to Constance, because she sent me the link today.
Yay! How do you know each other? How do you and
Kismet, Constance.
How is it? How are you buddies?
Oh, through ODWC, the Ohio Dem Women's Caucus, and
good.
I think Cuyahoga. I think we were in some meetings together there that Cindy had. But it's Kismet.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Constance, for inviting me, Yasmin. That is wonderful. And if you know how to save, does everybody know how to save chat? Because there's some good links in there if you haven't picked those up.
Yeah, for those who are interested, I just pasted something in chat. It's a prayer that I found today for Ukraine.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
that's right.
How do you save chat? Tell me.
How do you save chats? Yeah.
You click on the three dots.
Click on chat, and then in the lower right, you'll see the three dots.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. I remember now.
Everybody, I don't want to end until everybody has that. So open your chat.
Right.
And then go down to the bottom.
Yep.
And you'll see three dots. If you put your cursor over it, it says more.
Yeah.
And then it saves, and it'll go into your documents file.
Okay.
Under Zoom. It'll open up a Zoom folder, and you'll have this chat in there.
Great. Thank you.
In your documents file.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Because that's helpful to be able to do that. Thank you all. Please, let's carry this forward. We're building with this work. So let's carry this forward and get your gems together, learning from the people here. Constance.
I just have a question. Let's see. So I've never seen Gary before, nor have I seen Sandra.
All good.
And are you guys from like a different group?
We're from ICAT, where I am.
The Indivisible Cincinnati.
Yeah. Action team.
Action team, okay.
I've seen you, Constance, on ICAT.
No,
really?
Constance has not come to ICAT.
Yeah, I'm not an ICAT.
We meet on Wednesday mornings at 10.
Bold New Democracy. Have you been there before?
Maybe I saw you Friday night or Monday night on that strategy session. That's where I saw you.
Might have been.
Or some of the other, Constance comes fairly frequently, and you do too, Gary, to some of these special Thursdays, like we had Haroon Magul, and we've had a number of different things.
Okay.
So Constance is, I think your name is so important. It's so appropriate, Constance, because you're constant is an Yasmin is agreeing, constant, and you bring light into the hall. I mean, you are named perfectly.
Oh, wow. I'm going to apply for sainthood.
Yeah, good idea. You will. Okay. Have a great night. It was so good. It was fun.
Guys.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Sunflowers.
So good to be here. So good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.